Welcome guys and girls. In this video, I interview Rohit Arora. Rohit is a veteran Amazonian and currently a senior leader at AWS. Rohit shares his insights on what qualities solutions architects should have, how to use existing IT knowledge to transition to AWS, how to choose between management or IC role, his own cloud journey, trends you should be learning, and more. I interviewed Rohit during AWS reInvent, and it gets a bit noisy at times. For that reason, I have kept the subtitles on for this video. Watch this video till the end because Rohit drops a lot of gems that will be very useful for your cloud career. If this video is useful, please click that like button. With that being said, enjoy. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing one of the senior leader in Amazon Web Services, Rohit.
Thanks, Raj. Thanks for having me here. My name is Rohit Arora. I'm a senior leader in the compute organization. I've been with AWS for almost 4 years now. So I've been in the tech industry for almost 20 years now. Started as a developer, moved on to different roles, managed databases, database applications, big data, Hadoop, and then of course cloud as well, cloud and storage I would say. Glad to be here, glad to be talking to you.
Excellent, it's a pleasure. All right, so since you are a senior leader in the cloud industry and on the leading cloud, and you do a lot of hiring, interviewing, so what are some good qualities that a solutions architect should have or you look for?
That's a really interesting question. It's a loaded one, but I'll try to answer that as briefly as I can.
Yeah.
See, for me, the biggest thing is you have to be obsessed about your customers, right? So you need to have a solutions mindset. As the title itself says, right, solution architect, you need to focus on the solution. So you need to work backwards from the problem that you're trying to solve for the customer. The customer has a business case, the customer has a use case, a business problem to solve. How well can you solve that problem? Now there could be different permutations and combinations to solve these problems, but if you can come up with an optimized solution that not only meets what the customer needs, but also surpasses their expectations, right? Then I would say that's the quality or that's the mindset I expect the solution architects to have. If I were to add, right, looking backwards from the customer, looking at the solution, performance is another thing, right? And I've always said, right, I know I don't want to be a big mouth and say, yes, coding is easy, right. But a lot of people do coding, right?
Right.
But the real fun is in doing optimized coding, right? So your code should cater to scale. You are coding for where your customer would be 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. So keeping scale in mind, keeping performance in mind, keeping compliance, security, all those things in mind, definitely something that the solution architect should be thinking about.
Got it. So basically when you are doing a system design, you need to keep the real world production use case in mind. So not just a proof of concept, but how the system should be architected for massive scale, security, and all the other factors.
Absolutely. This is an analogy I usually use, right? If you have a table, for those people coming from a database background, if you have a table with 4 rows or 10 rows in it, everything works fine.
Yes,
your Cartesian joins, your inner joins, your outer joins, everything is going to give you results in split of a second.
Right.
The moment you add a million rows to it, is when the fun begins. That's when you need partitioning, indexing, statistics, and whatnot, right? So just use that analogy for any system that you're designing. Right? Everything will work fine for a light load. But the moment you add load to it, the moment you add a lot of users and stuff to it, multi-tenancy, concurrency, and other things, that's when the real test of your solution would happen, right? And so you got to think big, you got to think for where your customer would be a gazillion years from now.
Got it. Excellent. So talking about customers, so what are some of the trends you are seeing, Rohit, that the viewers should learn?
That's a good question. This is an era of generative AI, of AI machine learning, right? Everybody's like all the focus is on AI and machine learning, and so that's definitely on top of most of our, if not all of our customers' mind. Then there are other things, right? There used to be the 3-tier architecture, which still exists, with a lot more bells and whistles, with like messaging, queuing, push-pull models, and a lot of other things, right? End of the day, what people want is optimized software so that they can address the millions of customers. So cloud has definitely been on the horizon for a while now. The cloud is no longer a new thing. But then how do you run your applications optimized on cloud? How do you migrate your applications to the cloud? How do you run analytics on top of it? How do you feed into into machine learning models and stuff, right? So these are some of the trends that are on top of our customers, if not everybody's mind right now. How to leverage these large scale models, right? How to do machine learning, how to do artificial intelligence, how to set up these systems where they can predict the outcomes and feed into the next steps themselves. So
got it. So Gen AI, event-driven, push-pull model, those are some of the big things they're gonna learn.
absolutely.
Okay, so Rohit, you are a veteran Amazonian. Also, you have been working on AWS in general for a long time. But imagine you are starting your AWS journey today, right? And now, when we started, it was like what, less than 50 services, and now there's like 250 services. So many ways to learn. So if you have to start learning AWS, how would you go about it?
Well, the easiest ways to learn anything is to try it out yourself.
Right.
If I were to start learning it, what I would do is I would just set up a cluster or anything, right? I mean, whether you're working on Kubernetes, I would just set up a cluster, use any of the managed services that AWS offers, or just set up, leave the containers as the next step. I mean, just set up an EC2 instance, run anything, run a hello world on it, right? And so that you know like how flexible, how elastic, how simple it is to use cloud. You don't need to have a fancy, big, monolithic application ported on it. Start with the basics. Start with basic applications, hello world application on the cloud. Then start plugging other things in, like create a table, insert some data, store it on EBS or S3 or any of the other storage mechanisms, right? And then you can get it even more complex, wherein you can start to have ETL pipelines and other things working on it. But what I would suggest is play with it, right? If not, just go on the AWS website, play around with what's available for you to try out.
Got it. So basically learn with hands-on. Pick some use cases, go deep, and keep learning that way instead of just going through all the theories and everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the whole theory of cloud, the whole reason cloud exists is because we want to make it simple. It's because of the simplicity. It's because we want to focus on creating applications rather than creating the infrastructure to hold those applications, right? So once you start playing around with it, you'll realize how easy it is. With a few clicks of a button, you have a machine up and running, right? With the OS you need and with the configuration you need. So that's how easy it is. So I would say if you start reading about these things, it might get a little overwhelming. But once you start to play around with it, you'll find it's just a click of buttons and you have an instance up and running and you have your application or database up and running as well.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so this question I get a lot. So you were an individual contributor before, you were a hands-on developer, database folks, guy, all that stuff, and now you are a leader. So how should someone think about whether to become like a senior leader, manager, senior manager above, or individual contributor path?
That's a good question, right? And I get asked that question quite a bit.
Yes.
So what I would say is, I mean, manager is a specialized role in itself. If you think, and this is how I know a lot of us joke about it, a manager is not a person who just gives commands to other people and they work on it, and managers sit back on their lazy chair and then enjoy life.
Yeah.
It's a specialized role in itself, right? It's a known fact. Dealing with people is more complicated than dealing with machines, right? Machines listen to you. People may not always listen to you, right? I always, I joke around saying like as a manager, I'm more like a psychiatrist, but then I have to also read people's mind. I have to be sensitive to, cognizant to their aspirations, their problems in life as well, right? I mean, not getting into their personal lives, but life is different for everyone, right? I mean, people are going through stuff. Still, they have their career in the forefront, they want to grow, they face challenges both technically as well as growth-wise. So being cognizant to people's life, being cognizant to their aspirations is something that a manager should do. It's a specialized role.
Right.
Like I said, dealing with people is not easy, but for folks who enjoy working with people, dealing with people, for folks who are empathetic to how situations change in life for people, for people who like to show others, to like to guide others to the next steps in their career, management is an awesome job. But I'll reiterate, it is a specialized role. There are pros and cons of this role as well, right? I mean, there's not everything is going to be hunky-dory throughout your tenure with the company. You will have to make tough calls, you will have to take tough decisions. But in general, if you like working with people, if you like directing people, if you like guiding people, then I think management is the job for you. And you don't have to be, I mean, to be honest, I mean, this is what I tell a lot of ICs as well. You don't have to be a manager to grow in your career, right? And there are huge opportunities in the IC career path as well. You could become a technical director, you could become a technical architect, a CTO, and there are like, sky is the limit for your growth in the technical aspect of it as well, right? But if you really want to leverage your technical background into directing other people and also helping them with people stuff, then people management is the job for you.
Got it. So I'll ask this question. I don't know if there is any number or something. Sometimes people ask me, Raj, should I become a manager because I heard the manager pays better? So I don't know if that's the right aspiration to be, but I tell them that these days, even on IC paths, you can go pretty high up.
Absolutely, and you know, this is a big myth.
Yeah.
So this is coming from my own personal experience. So I don't want to speak for other companies, but at least in my career, what I've seen is a manager's job may not pay you more than an IC's job. I've had ICs reporting to me who have made more money than I have. I'm talking about my previous organizations, and things have changed also ever since I left those organizations or whatnot. So from my personal experience, your growth monetary wise does not always come from becoming a manager. There are opportunities, and especially now in the AI world, right? People are getting paid a lot as ICs. Because at the end of the day, you're contributing to building the infrastructure, building the code front, and that's what is critical, right? Yes, there could be organizations or there could be career paths where management gets more money than ICs, but then that's not the norm, right? So this is, in my mind, a myth that's widely spread that you need to become a manager to make more money.
Right, great. You know, like, I don't know, 10 years back in India, there was this conception, if you're not a manager, you're a failure, right? So, I mean, up to some points, my parents would be saying, when are you becoming a manager? Now they gave up because I'm like, I'm never becoming a manager. Or never say never, but at least for now, right? But I think IC jobs also has now a lot of levels and a lot of different areas that, like, people should do what they enjoy.
Absolutely. I mean, rather I would say this, managers, yes, there are people managers, but the way, so I don't want to speak for companies in India, but at least from what I've heard so far and what I've experienced so far, a lot of organizations are expecting hands-on managers. So it's not like if you are an IC, you really need to put down your technical weapons and pick up the management side of things. You really need to be hands-on manager these days, especially with all these unicorns and startups and stuff. IC could translate into an IC manager over a period of time, but then you don't want to lose your technical skill set.
Right. Well, as a manager, like, we just did a fireside chat. Like, you spoke a lot of technical services, when to think about serverless container, all that stuff. So you still allocate some time to learn about technology. It's not like always managing the people part.
Absolutely. I mean, if end of the day you're managing technical people, right? If you don't understand the language your people speak, it's going to become a hurdle, right? Every person wants to be managed by someone who they can learn something from, right? Whether it's technical, whether it's people management skills, whether it's customer experience, whether there are other skill sets, right? But every manager, in my mind, should be technically competent enough to be able to manage their teams, right? How would you step in and help your team members if you yourself are not aware of the technologies, of the stuff that your team members are working on?
Right. Next question, Rohit. How can someone who is working in IT for a long time, right, look to get into cloud positions, right? Doesn't have to be AWS, like a lot of cloud positions out there. Any tips, tricks, guidance for them, like how they can use their existing IT experience, how they should prepare, anything else that you want to share?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, right, I mean, cloud is not something out of this world that a technologist or an engineering background person or a database background person cannot learn, right? If you look at some of our services like RDS, it's basically running the on-prem databases on the cloud, right? If you look at EC2 instances, it is like on-prem service, but running on the cloud, being managed by AWS. So knowing the nuts and bolts of these things, whether it's managed by yourself or it's managed by AWS, end of the day, we are talking about the same technology. We are still talking about front ends. We are still talking about CDNs. We are talking about networking, roles, talking about security, compliance, storage, databases. So they're all the Lego blocks are still the same.
Right.
Whether you build it or AWS builds it for you, knowing the tools and technology that AWS is building these things on will definitely come in handy. So I don't feel these things are isolated, rather if you have the technical background on-prem, you can easily relate to technologies on the cloud.
Got it. So basically, if someone is deep on database, they can look up what are the differences in RDS and how they can translate that knowledge and use that rather than like reinventing the wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I learned cloud as well, because microservice is microservice, and if you're running on a VM, all you gotta do is learn what's the VM on AWS, right? And you can translate those skills.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent. All right, so that's all the technical questions. So now we're gonna do some rapid fire questions. So let's see how he does. All right, Rohit, favorite movie of all time?
I don't know if the audience all watches Hindi movies or not, but DDLJ is.
DDLJ?
Yeah, for
okay, so you imagine yourself in the field?
Yeah, I wish I had a life as cool as Shah Rukh Khan had, but yeah, I mean that's a movie I watched when I was, say, in my early adulthood.
Yes.
So I still remember most of it. So.
Excellent. Okay, if you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would that be?
I know the vegetarians are going to kill me for this, but chicken has always been my go-to dish. So anything to do with chicken, I just love it.
Chicken, okay. Any special chicken dish?
Well, butter chicken is my favorite.
Butter chicken, all right. If you could have a dinner with a famous person, dead or alive, who would that be?
That's a good question. There are quite a few people that I look up to, right? I mean, Jeff Bezos is one of them,
sure.
right? I would love to meet him one of these days. I mean, he built cloud, the first and most trusted cloud. Jeff Bezos is definitely one person that I would like to meet.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. This answer I know, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Tea, coffee, or energy drink?
Well, chai latte.
He's drinking his chai latte as we speak.
Chai latte.
Okay. If you can have one superpower, what would that be?
One superpower, what would that be?
Yes.
That would be well, if I could predict the future, I think that would be awesome. I mean, I would know where to invest in. What technologies, what stocks, and where to invest in. I mean, if I could look into the future, I think that would be awesome.
That would be cool. Our favorite song?
Favorite song? I mean, it's... I don't remember the artist, but it started with like, if you miss the train, I'm gone.
Yeah.
You will know that I'm gone. Sorry, if you miss the train, I'm on. You will know that I'm gone. I think, and I forget the lyrics now, but I think that's still, I still rhyme it in my mind.
Got it. Okay. All right. So there is a zombie apocalypse, and you can only choose 3 things. What would those be?
Oh boy. I mean, choose 3 things.
Yes. Not people. It's assumed that you are keeping your family, right?
Right.
So 3 gadgets or anything.
My car.
Sure.
I love driving, so I don't know where I would drive to, but
you can drive through zombies.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting. Keep my car. I'm hooked onto my phone now.
Okay.
I know I hate it. I know that, so I'm a bad example, but I'm hooked onto my phone.
You all are, yeah.
I think the third would be my AirPods, maybe any music system.
Music, okay. To hear the music. Okay, excellent. Dream vacation.
Oh, I love going to Singapore, Malaysia, some of these Asian countries, and I keep going there again and again.
Yeah.
I think, I mean that's how I live my dream, right? Kind of getting away from the hustle and bustle of the life we live in.
Right. Okay. Last question. What are you most proud of, Rohit?
Well, what I'm most proud of is something that I shouldn't be tooting my own horn, or I shouldn't be patting my own back. But I think my people management skills, like I've been a manager for a long time. I've been into management for like 20 years now, and of course my team members would endorse it or would acknowledge it. But I feel like I'm a people person. I think people like working with me, for me. You're a prime example. You can say if I'm right or wrong. But I think
that's why I'm interviewing you, right? If I didn't like you,
that's true. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. But yeah, keeping my technical skills up to date, while also not compromising on my people skills and kind of helping people helping them grow. I think that gives me a sense of accomplishment. So I think that's one thing I like about myself.
Excellent. On that note, how can people find you?
Just look up Rohit Arora, AWS, and you should be able to find me. My title says Senior Leader at AWS, and I'm more than happy to connect with as many people as LinkedIn allows. And I'm more than happy to respond back to your questions also.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll give his LinkedIn, or if he has Twitter or any other links in the description, so you can just click and add him. Rohit, thank you so much for coming to the channel. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, click the like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys and girls in the next video. Bye.
Thanks, Rohit.